Welcome back to the Morning Blend with our continuing series, All That Sparkles with Kesslers Diamonds. Our next guest says that building a successful business is simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy.
Yeah, the founder of Kesslers Diamonds, Richard Kessler, is here, and he's going to share how they became the largest seller of diamonds in the state. Good to see you again.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
This is pretty cool. So you're the largest seller of diamonds in the state, but it hasn't always been that way.
No, it was some pretty tough times. Back in 1991, we opened our business. I'm sorry, 1980 we opened our business, and we were certainly the smallest jeweler in the state and struggled for 11 years just trying to keep the doors open. There were times that I would come to work and flip the light switch on and there were no lights because I couldn't pay the bill and the rent was always late, and some pretty tough times.
Yeah, for sure. The light did come on though, it sounds like, certainly. What was it that changed for you? What was that deciding? What happened?
Well, in 1991, I had some friends who saw me struggling, and they invited me to go to Chicago to meet Tony Robbins, spend the weekend with Tony Robbins. I had no idea who Tony Robbins was at all, but they said,
a lot of people didn't in 91.
No, he'll change your life, and boy, I sure needed that. So I went down there and met Tony, and what an experience. He asked me, he said, whatever you believe is true in your business. What do you believe is true? And after studying all the successful jewelers in town, they all had one thing in common. They were all old. And so my assumption was, you got to just stick it out. You got to hang in there.
Yeah. So you figured you have to be in business for a long time to be successful.
Yeah, I didn't know different.
And I think that proves a lot, you know, like in somebody's mind that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what from there?
Well, he said, well, what if you believe something different? What if you believed you could serve the customer better than anybody in your state? What do you think would happen to your business? And it never occurred to me that that was my job, was to serve the customer. I thought my job was to sell jewelry and take the profit and pay the expenses.
Get the product.
Yeah. So I refocused on serving the customer better than anybody, and it changed our whole life. We went into 50% annual growth for 10 straight years.
Wow.
That's incredible. I mean, most people, that's a dream in a business, something that you hear about, but you aspire to, but is never a reality. How did you figure out, what did you do to serve the customer better?
Well, I studied the jewelers in town, as many as I could, from the customer's perspective, and I thought, what is it that I don't like about this experience going into these stores? I shopped them hard.
Yeah.
And right away I noticed the music was terrible. I hated the music. The atmosphere was stuffy in the stores. The salespeople were not very well trained. I looked at their trade-in policies and their warranties and decided to change all of it, and that changed everything for us. So now every time we make a decision at Kesslers, we do it from the customer's perspective. What is it that's important to them, not what's important to us? And so we just continue to serve the customer.
What else do you hear from other, customers as they've come in that you've taken in? Okay, I'm going to take that piece of advice. I'm going to change it in my stores. Is there anything that stands out to you?
I think the biggest thing that we did throughout that 10-year growth period was to differentiate ourselves from other people. So many, for me early on, my objective was to try to be like the successful jewelers. And then I realized, no, I need to be different than the successful jewelers. I need to differentiate myself. And so serving the customer better than anybody and doing it in a different way, just staying focused on what they need, not what you need, because you'll get what you get once they get what they need. And that's the difference.
That's like a life lesson in general.
Yeah, I was thinking.
You know what? It applies to relationships as well.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a true shift in paradigm, and I think it's funny what happens after you shift the way you look at something, and that empathy. You're putting yourself in someone else's shoes and seeing it from their perspective, and voila.
People come in our stores and they have a good time, and they feel that they're the most important reason we're there. We're not there to sell them anything.
Yeah.
And it works, just focusing on their needs.
And the big differentiator, I think, is something we talked about before, and that's that warranty that you have. Nobody else has that. It's crazy, I think, to some people.
It is
because
crazy.
If you bought it at Kesslers, if you lose it, something happens to it, including the center diamond, you'll replace it.
We do it day in and day out. People have accidents with their jewelry. It wears and tears over the years, and we're there to take care of it for them like nobody else will. And that is our big differentiator, yes.
It's incredible what you do. KesslersDiamonds.com, where you can visit online, but you got to stop in a store, hear the music, see if you like it, tell him what you want to hear, because apparently he'll listen.
I don't pick the music. You have to be 25 to pick the music.
Right?
Well, you got to be 25. That's awesome.
Great
That's
to
awesome,
see you.
Richard.
Thanks for having me in today. Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.